DeWanna Bonner in the hot seat after saying what she stated last night in her press conference, man. I can't lie, it does look like some hypocrisy going on.
DeWanna Bonner continues to take shots at the Indiana Fever and the Fever fans. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
The sheer gall of some people is truly mind-blowing, but DeWanna Bonner just set a new bar for delusion. In a jaw-dropping ESPN interview, she had the nerve to say, "I wouldn't change a thing." This is after essentially scamming $200,000 from the Indiana Fever and their loyal fan base. She inked a deal, cashed checks for months, then conveniently vanished for 5 games with vague personal reasons only to orchestrate her exit from the team. And now she's parked in Phoenix playing the victim, pretending like she was the one mistreated. Seriously.
I wouldn't do anything differently. I think my journey is my journey and I'm going to accept that. It carried me to where I am in Phoenix and it happened that way for a reason. I mean, really, that is a wild statement.
You stole that money from Indiana. You signed up for that bread and didn't deliver. You didn't show up for work. You made up bullcrap excuses to not be at.
That level of arrogance is truly astonishing, especially considering how Fever fans embraced her from day one, treating her like royalty. Yet, behind the scenes, she was already plotting her exit. If you're feeling just as shocked and let down as the rest of us, hit that like button and comment "Investigate Bonner" below. What we're about to reveal breaks down the betrayal, step by step.
She came over here, she signed a max contract, she knew Phoenix didn't have the bread, she got 80 here and went and got the rest over there. I think it's trash.
I wouldn't do anything differently. You took 80 grand from the Indiana Fever. You could have just signed. Like, that's one of the things, like, I don't understand why you take these interviews. I don't understand why someone would take an interview and say that, when the reality is that all you did was took a whole bunch of money from a team to not show up.
She came over here, she signed a max contract, she knew Phoenix didn't have the bread, she got 80 here and went and got the rest over there. I think it's trash.
I wouldn't do anything differently. You took 80 grand from the Indiana Fever. You could have just signed. Like, that's one of the things, like, I don't understand why you take these interviews. I don't understand why someone would take an interview and say that, when the reality is that all you did was took a whole bunch of money from a team to not show up.
Bonner's comments don't just miss the mark, they're a slap in the face to every fan who poured their money, energy, and heart into supporting her. For her to sit on national television and act like she did nothing wrong, after taking that money and refusing to uphold her end of the bargain, speaks volumes about her integrity, or the lack thereof.
You refuse to show up to work while receiving money, while taking payment. You refuse to show up and do the job. And let's be clear, you wasn't even good while you was here. You was shooting threes hitting the side of the backboard.
But this is definitely going to be a part of her history, man. Because the new wave is taking over. These new fans are watching. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be a part of her history, unfortunately.
At this point, it's not even about basketball, it's a matter of professionalism and basic respect. Fans buy tickets, wear jerseys, and support the franchise because they trust that players will show up and do the work. Bonner's time in Indy wasn't some soul-searching journey, it was a calculated cash grab that left both the fans and the franchise feeling duped and abandoned by someone they once believed in.
This is DeWanna Bonner. I wouldn't do anything differently. I think my journey is my journey. I'm going to accept that. It carried me to where I am now in Phoenix, and it happened that way for a reason. It didn't happen that way for a reason. You forced yourself out of Indiana, DeWanna.
But here's where it gets even more infuriating. Once you start peeling back the layers and examining how everything really played out, it exposes a much deeper issue with how professional contracts are managed today, and how some athletes have become far too comfortable skating by without accountability. Let's start with the most damning evidence, the massive gap between what Bonner promised and what she actually delivered after signing that big money deal.
I just don't understand this. I don't understand why DeWanna Bonner is taking these interviews at this point in time. Because I'm like, look, you're in Phoenix, you've got what you wanted. You've got what everyone expected you wanted all along. Everything's gone your way. Indiana haters are going to love you because you screwed over the Fever. They're going to love you because you screwed over the Fever. Phoenix Mercury fans are going to love you. Rival fans are going to love you because you basically screwed over the Fever. Fever fans are going to hate you because you screwed over the Fever.
We're talking about a veteran who averaged an embarrassing 7.1 points per game, tossing up bricks and jogging around like she couldn't care less. This wasn't about someone trying to find their form, it was a player clearly mailing it in, biding her time, and waiting for the right moment to bolt. She started only 3 of the 9 games she even bothered to show up for, which says everything about how little she was contributing, even when technically available. The numbers don't lie, and they paint the picture of someone completely checked out. Her 3.8 rebounds and 1.6 assists per game were laughable, bench player stats at best. Not what you expect from a veteran free agent who was supposed to bring stability and leadership to a young, hungry team. She wasn't just disappointing, she was invisible.
First of all, the fans are the victim. The organization was the victim here. Like, why are we sitting here, she up in these articles like she was a victim, like she did, like something was done wrong? No, the fans are a victim. They welcomed you with open arms. They embraced you, and you turned your back and you quit. It's that simple. You quit. You refused to show up to work. You wasn't hurt. You wasn't sick. It wasn't a personal fit. No, you just didn't want to be on the team. No.
Yet, despite the lackluster performance, Fever fans showed patience. They hoped she'd turn it around. They gave her the benefit of the doubt. But instead of using the goodwill to fuel a comeback, Bonner apparently decided it wasn't worth the effort, so she stopped trying. The Fever front office had structured the roster and salary cap around the expectation that she'd play a key role, and she repaid them by ghosting when things didn't go her way. It's a manipulative move that sends the wrong message to every other player in the league. If you don't like your role, just tank your effort until you get your way. Now here's the part that really sets off every Indiana Fever fan who's been paying attention. The second Bonner threw on that Phoenix Mercury jersey, she magically reappeared as the player we all thought we were getting. Suddenly she's dropping 22 points and 11 rebounds like it's nothing, just her second game with her new team. Funny how that works, isn't it?
You came here, you stunk it up, and then you got benched. Just because you was okay with coming off the bench in another situation don't mean you was okay with coming off the bench in this situation. So I want to know what's the real? What's the real? Because you can't say while you was here, you said, "Oh, I've never played in front of this many fans." You were embraced by the fans. You spoke highly of the fans while you were here. You were a starter, but you wasn't playing well. And that was nobody else's fault that you was shooting threes, hitting the side of the backboard, and you was smoking layups. And then your starting spot got took, and then all of a sudden you refused to show up to work.
This isn't about finding a better system or getting into rhythm. This is proof that Bonner was sandbagging her time in Indiana. She had that fire all along, but chose to suppress it until she could play where she wanted, alongside her fiancée, Alyssa Thomas. That dramatic leap in production isn't just suspicious, it's a dead giveaway. Even casual fans could see through it. Her performance in Phoenix was like a confession. She could have helped the Fever, she just didn't want to.
And if we gonna keep it real, Chloe Bibby, the new 7-day signee, has fit in and played better than DeWanna Bonner did anyway. Let's be clear here. Chloe Bibby came in first game, knocked down 2 threes. DeWanna Bonner first game versus the gum on the bottom of the shoe, Chicago Sky. We had to jump through hoops of fire and do all types of abracadabra magic tricks to get her to finally score to break that record.
If you compare her stats in Indiana to her sudden surge in Phoenix, it's like looking at 2 completely different athletes, and that's exactly what happens when someone finally decides to try after months of coasting. It's manipulation, plain and simple, and it reflects the worst kind of entitlement, using your professional platform to play games while the people who believed in you are left holding the bill. The most outrageous part? Bonner's now pretending like she gave it her all in Indiana. She's standing there acting like she didn't sandbag a franchise and let down a city. Meanwhile, Phoenix fans are celebrating as if she just broke out of a slump, ignoring the fact that they're enjoying the spoils of someone else's betrayal. This isn't just about one game, it's about setting a dangerous precedent that lets players dodge accountability without consequences. And what makes it sting even more is remembering how she first arrived in Indy, talking a big game and embracing the fan base like she was ready to be part of something special. She didn't start with complaints. She didn't drop hints about being unhappy. No, she played the part. She smiled for the cameras. She said all the right things.
Here's a quote from DeWanna Bonner. I have no problem coming off the bench. I have never been that player. I don't feel like I have that reputation. Now, fair enough. You have won Sixth Woman of the Year, respectfully. But that don't mean that's what you thought you were walking into. I believe you thought you was coming here to be a veteran leader, an OG, and a starter. She came here as a starter, was stinking it up, got injured, and Lexi Hall stepped in, and Lexi Hall should have been the starter from day one. DeWanna Bonner should have never been a starter in an Indiana Fever uniform. That's a fact.
Bonner once praised the massive fan support in Indianapolis, marveling at how she had never experienced anything like it before. She seemed genuinely moved by the electric crowds, the sea of Fever jerseys, and the diehard loyalty of Indiana's supporters. She spoke passionately about being inspired to compete for a championship and how eager she was to mentor rising stars like Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston as they adjusted to the pro game. These weren't half-hearted media sound bites, they were full-throated endorsements of a city and a team that welcomed her with open arms and believed in her. And that's what makes this betrayal feel so personal to the fans. People bought her jersey. They shared her story on social media. They gave her the benefit of the doubt when her performance didn't match her paycheck. Indiana fans made excuses for her, saying she just needed time to build chemistry with her teammates. They posted highlight reels of her rare flashes of brilliance, called her the veteran glue player, and held out hope she'd eventually deliver. To find out now that she was likely plotting her exit from the moment she signed that contract, it feels like an emotional con job. The support was real. Her commitment wasn't.